Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Now this particular video, I'm going to rank my personal favorites from favorite to least favorite when it comes to Ghostbusters movies. Now I recently even just seen Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, but I'm not going to do a movie review on that. Maybe sometime in the future I might. If you want to hear other people's reviews about it, go right ahead, watch those videos. People who make criticism or even talk first positive then negative reviews about it, they do make quite some good points when it comes to that movie. But anyway, I'm going to talk about my favorite to least favorite. I don't hate my least favorite, of course. I don't hate the movie. It's not terrible, but it's not like great. Anyway, I'll get started here. Number one, my most favorite, of course, number one would be, I got this Ghostbusters, 1 and 2 for Blu-ray. Number one is definitely the first Ghostbusters movie, which is, by no brains, of course, an all-time classic. The first movie is a classic. Everyone knows this. A lot of people know this movie by now. A lot of people hear the theme song over the years. It's the acting in this movie, the comedic style, the characters, really is what makes the first Ghostbusters movie a classic. While yes, there's the writing is also good. The equipment they use is also good. The effects are still great to this day, even though some people will point out where there's some of the effects are quite a bit dated, like especially if you see the scene with the terror dogs where they're claymation stop motion style. But what do you expect? This was 1984. This was just before CGI came into effect until like the early 90s, when you seen films like Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park and so forth. So yeah, Ghostbusters, I'm not going to give too much out when it comes to these movies, the plot and so forth. I'm just saying my favorite to least favorite. So Ghostbusters, the first Ghostbusters movie, an all-time classic, for short, at number one. Number two, now by a lot of people, including myself, this is considered the third Ghostbusters movie. And that is Ghostbusters, the video game, remastered. Now this game came out back in 2009. This game is definitely a great game to play, especially if you're a Ghostbusters fan. You actually play as a Ghostbuster, a rookie. You actually go around different levels and fight different ghost enemies and entities, and you actually play as a Ghostbuster and actually busting ghosts. And not to mention, you happen to go through different levels and fight all kinds of different enemies and boss fights, which is just amazing. This originally had the idea of where Dan Aykroyd, if I remember correctly, where he had this idea. I think it was titled Ghostbusters Hellbent, I believe, which was in the original script for Ghostbusters 3 that could have came out sometime in the 90s to 2000s, I believe. But yeah, there should have been a third Ghostbusters movie in the 90s. But unfortunately, because of the bad success of Ghostbusters 2, which was liked by a lot of people, while other people did not like it, and of course critics didn't like it, and of course Bill Murray didn't like it, so yeah. You know the backstory for those who look into this. But yeah, my second favorite when it comes to Ghostbusters is Ghostbusters, the video game. This game is fun. I highly recommend it. Third, number three would be Ghostbusters 2. Now, of course, Ghostbusters 2 isn't as good compared to the first one. You know, it's not quite as funny. I think I don't know. I think the slime thing is maybe a little, like the mood slime thing is a little too cheesy, or kind of falls flat a bit. And of course, they do the Stay Puft giant thing like they did in the first movie for the Statue of Liberty, which was pretty good. Again, I'm not gonna talk about the plot or details of the second movie, but yeah, Ghostbusters 2 is definitely on my number 3 list. Now, you know what? Screw it. I'm not gonna say it. Even though I always say to myself, this movie doesn't exist. Paul Feig's 2016 Ghostbusters sucks. There you go. End of story. Mic drop. But anyway, number 4. Now, I know some hate this movie. I know some did not really even care for the third act. I'll say this. The fourth in line is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now, one of the things I like about this movie is that it takes place in a small town. You know, the kids fool around with the Ghostbusters equipment. They actually explore inside the proton pack in the basement where Phoebe dissects it. Again, the kids play around with the proton pack stuff, with the equipment, the Rusty Ecto-1, which I always found really cool. Some of the scenes in this movie I thought were just really cool. Even the Walmart scene where Paul Rudd encounters the mini Stay Puft marshmallows. Now, that is cool to see in one movie, but I think what's really getting old to me is just keep saying Stay Puft with these mini Stay Puft now. And one person mentioned this, and they made a good point. It seems like these mini Stay Puffs are now becoming the Minions when it comes to Ghostbusters. Yeah, the Minions from Gru. Yeah, there you go. The mini Stay Puffs are getting old. Go back to Giant Stay Puft. I mean, come on. He's more mighty and so forth, which I always liked. Now, the third act, when it comes to this movie, of course, again, I'm not talking details in this movie. I'm just giving you my, in a nutshell, overall thoughts about these. Again, the third act, now, I know some people will disagree. That's fine. I thought this movie did send a pretty decent send-off when it comes to Egon, a.k.a. Harold Ramis. I know some people did not like the part where they CGI'd him, a dead person, a real person that had died. I understand that, you know. It's just, to me, every time I see that scene, and every time when I see the four of them together for the last time, I know people will probably say to me, you know, it's nostalgia bait, it's a tearjerker or keys in your face. I don't know. To me, I see that like as a final good send-off goodbye to Egon / Harold Ramis. And I don't know. It just, again, if you don't like that scene, you don't care, or it kind of, to other people's eyes, it's creepy that they have a CGI Harold Ramis ghost, which Harold Ramis died in real life. Find kind of creepy. To me, I found this a good, like, send-off. But again, for those who didn't like it, you know, that's okay. It's your opinion. But yeah, anyway, these are just my personal thoughts when it comes to ranking from my most favorite to least favorite Ghostbusters movie / game. These are just my personal thoughts. But for those who do watch this video, and if you'd like to comment down below, what is your personal favorite Ghostbusters from favorite to least favorite? Let me know in the comment section. But thank you for watching, and take care.